All right, it says we're live.
Right on.
Let's go. Guys, we're going to get started here in just a minute or two. Kevin's going to share to his socials and all that while we wait, but excited to introduce you to a new friend of mine. Kevin and I had a chance to speak last week, and I was like, dude, I got to get you in front of my audience, dude. And so I'm excited for today. If you guys get value from this, or we had a lot of people RSVP to this, hey, share it on your own pages. A lot of people might want to hear what we've got to discuss today, and it's not every day you get to speak with a nationally known, potentially even worldwide known speaker, former Harlem Globetrotter. I mean, the man's resume is insane, and I put it in the event for everybody to check out because it's quite impressive. But we're going to have him introduce himself here in just a second to share some of that background with everybody as we get prepared. So,
all right.
Yeah, you got all your socials figured out, man?
I think I have it on my Facebook, my own personal. So let me go ahead and put it into the group. I'm excited, man. I am excited. I'm ready to rock and roll when you are.
I got you. Well, I'll just tee this up while we're getting kicked off here, and then I'm going to have you introduce yourself. But just a little backstory. So how did Kevin and I even meet? Well, so I've recently started something called the Champions Network for former college and or professional athletes who are now entrepreneurs. Those of you that may or may not know of that already, you can go to www.mychampionsnetwork.com. Request to join the group is absolutely free, just a place and a community for us to all network. So Kevin joined that group, and he and I got to talking, and he reached out to me privately wanting to share something. And I was like, oh, well, hang on a minute. I might be interested for me. And we're going to get into that. And just let's connect anyways, because that's the point of the Champions Network. So let's rock and roll. Officially launching this now, the Proximity Live. We've got Kevin Daley with the Daley Speakers Academy, otherwise known as Special K from a former life that I want him to tell you about. So, man, let's kick this off real quick. Tell us your story in terms of your background all the way up to what you're doing today. Talk to us about that.
Oh, wow. Okay, I can do that. So I'm originally from Central America, Panama City, Panama. You may notice an accent every now and then. Some people think it's a Texas accent, but it's actually because I'm still fluent in Spanish. I came to Los Angeles when I was about 13 years old. Played high school basketball, got a little stint at UCLA, eventually transferred over to Azusa Pacific in California. Had a good career there. And from there, I started playing professionally in different countries all over the world. Eventually, I landed with the Harlem Globetrotters, and I was able to play with them as the leader and captain for 10 years. Right before starting with the Globetrotters, I also did a few things that I thoroughly enjoyed. One of those was I was a double for Michael Jordan in commercials. One of the commercials was a very iconic Gatorade commercial that, probably about 10 times a year since 2000, since social media started getting a little bit more popular, somebody will tag me on that and say, oh, this is great. This is awesome. So every year somebody tags me on it. It's so popular the commercial is. So yeah, ever since retiring from the Globetrotters, I started a motivational speaking career. I've been blessed to speak to places like Microsoft, Paycom, Northrop Grumman, universities in different countries, Spain. I just got back from Switzerland, in different places. So now we started the Daley Speakers Academy, which is to help former professional and collegiate athletes that are in the same place that I was when I tried to jumpstart my motivational career, which was lost. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to do it. I failed miserably in the beginning. But now we have this academy to help such athletes. And there's one purpose of the academy is just to help former professional collegiate athletes to leverage their athletic experiences into paid speaking engagement, either part-time or full-time. As athletes, people love us. They love to hear our stories. Some of the people that booked me, they're former athletes or people who wanted to be an athlete. So they just respect the grind that I had and the lessons that I've learned. And every single athlete that is listening to this can accomplish the same thing when it comes to motivational speaking.
So good. So good. And a lot of these, they wait till the end to plug it, but I'm not going to wait, man. So if I'm an athlete listening to this right now, before we even get into the crunchy stuff, how can I find you? What's this about? What link should I go to? Talk to me.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on social media, MrTrotter21 on every social media. But we actually have a free Facebook group, which is the Motivational Speaking Roadmap for Former Athletes. You can join that for free. And if you want to have a conversation just to kind of let me know a little bit about where it is that you are in your motivational speaking quest and where it is that you want to be. And then we try to see if it's something that we can help you with. If we cannot help you, we can at least point you in the right direction. And if we can help you, we're going to show you how we can do that, show you a complete roadmap on how to do so. Yeah. But you can also reach me at the Daley, DALEY, speakersacademy.com.
DaleySpeakersAcademy.com. That's DALEY, speakersacademy.com. Love it, man. Well, and I had an opportunity to listen in on one of his free trainings, the value of being a part of that Facebook group he's referencing last night, 9 p.m. Guys on there spitting game, talking, telling people. And I've asked him in advance to bring some of that back once we get to that and reshare a couple of highlights that I heard from last night. Very quickly, man, you might get a kick out of this. A friend of mine, Matt Ryberg, Matt, shout out to you if you're watching this, reached out to me when I advertised that you and I were going to be chatting. He's like, I know that guy. I was like a freshman when he was a senior and playing at, I can't pronounce it, Azusa.
Azusa, okay.
Yes, he saw you play. I'm like,
did he play baseball?
No. It's a long story, but no, he was a college student there and remembers watching you play and stuff. It's
right
cool.
On, man. What's up, Matt?
There you go. So let's dive in, man. First question I suppose I have for you is, how has sports served as an inspiration for the work that you do today as the CEO of the Daley Speakers Academy? Like, I guess, what was it about speaking and wanting to specifically help athletes tell their story that inspired you to create your company?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what drove me to speaking was I didn't want to have a 9-to-5. And I knew that after I finished with the Globetrotters, I didn't really miss the actual basketball playing, but I miss the performing and being in front of people, the crowd, right? And I felt that through motivational speaking and speaking to thousands at once, with all attention on me, I would get some of that fix. So I know for a fact, because I've spoken to many, many athletes, even before we went on this venture, that motivational speaking is oftentimes a natural transition for athletes to take. They want to do it because we have a story, and it's not always about the struggles. It's also about the positive things that you accomplish throughout your career, right? But there are lessons within all of these athletic experiences that we've had. So I also knew how difficult it was for me to get information on how to become a motivational speaker. And every information that I did find, none of it was tailored to athletes. None of it was tailored to people who were in my specific situation. So I saw a gap and I said, if I'm like this, if I need this, I know that there are hundreds of thousands of other former athletes who need the same assistance. So for that reason, we created the Academy, and it literally teaches you every single aspect of the motivational speaking business that there is to know as a former athlete.
I find that interesting. Like, it was really, I mean, sports is incredible, right? But you said something there that I didn't necessarily miss the basketball. Like, you were at peace with moving on to another phase of life. But what you did miss was, for lack of a better term, the entertainment. Because you told me you were the guy with the mic, you had the half-court hook shot, right? Yeah. And absolutely. So that was interacting with the crowd, and the energy that speaking gives you is really what I heard is the inspiration. And I was talking to another friend who's a former athlete as well. I'm sure you see this all the time. A lot of people who are transitioning away from college pro athletes into, quote unquote, getting a real job, I guess. they go through an identity crisis, man.
Oh yeah.
So have you seen that? As
Well, I went through it myself because in
Yeah.
the beginning of motivational speaking, I wasn't successful because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
So I was forced to go into corporate America, and eventually I had a great success and fast success in corporate America. However, that transition was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It was my wife that helped me with the transition because she was the one. I was thinking I was about 38 years old going into corporate America, which is late. Though a starting job, right? 60K or something like that, right? So I was talking to her one time. We weren't married at the time, but I was talking to her and I was telling her, I was asking, who's going to want to hire me? I don't have any experience. I'm older than the other people. But she said like this, fool, what you talking about? You have a lot of experience. And she broke it down to me. She said, you know how to work as a team. You are a leader. You've been a leader in many of these basketball teams that you have played for. You know how to get up when you fall down. You know how to create goals and actually achieve these goals. And that's when I started thinking like, wow, she's right. All I have to do is learn how to transfer these skills that I learned as an athlete into the corporate world. And once I figured it out, it was a wrap for everybody else. Literally my first job ever. There's literally a plaque on the wall for fastest promotion in company history, where I got promoted within 6 months to leading a team. Right. So, and people ask me, how did I do it? All I did was the same things that I did when I was playing basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: as a business owner who specializes in working with athletes on how to tell their story, first of all, I'm sure you've heard it all, but why do you feel every person, even those without a sports background, perhaps, should take the time to craft their story and share it with others?
So let's talk about the athletes first. We are doing the world a disservice if we do not share our stories. There are so many gems and nuggets within the lessons that we have learned. But the issue that some of the athletes have is knowing how to pull those lessons and knowing how to deliver those lessons that can be that others can relate to. Yeah. Right? I can't tell my story about just playing one-on-one against Michael Jordan, where not that many people are going to be able to relate to that. However, off of those times that I was playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan, I had a full presentation that I gave to a sales team on how to kill the competition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of knowing how to draft it. And that's where you work with a coach. That's where you get a trainer. And just like you did in sports,
yep,
you got a trainer, you got a coach, you got all that. Right. And that's what helped you succeed. It's the same thing. Now, when it comes to just the non-athletes, they have stories within themselves as well. Things that happen as family, things that they learn from work, things at school. There's so many. Not all of the lessons that I share are athletic. They have an athletic background, right? We all do. And we always learn from others people's stories, right? I learn all the time. I like to hear, I like biographies and, and all that on TV or a book. I love that because I learned so much from other people's experiences.
I can relate with that in so many ways, man. But I've got to believe at some point there's a lot of noise that you encounter as a speaker coach working with former athletes and whatnot. So how do you help them overcome the noise? Maybe they're like, I don't know, it feels selfish to get out there and tell my story, or I don't want people to judge me. And do you experience that? And if so, how do you help them break through that?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I experience when I'm speaking with them is they're not sure if people are going to want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Right. They're not sure if they can be good at presenting it. I wasn't sure either, though. Yeah. Right. I just thought that I might be. And at first people didn't listen, but I learned how to do it. Yeah. So it's just about, it's because you got to think the athletes have been working on that sport for years. from the time they're kids all the way till they retire, either college or professional, retire. So now you're introducing them to a new skill, potential new skill. Right. So it's brand new. So a lot of people have fear in it, right? So it's just a matter of bringing and giving them the confidence and showing them that they can do it and showing them how they can do it and holding the hands and saying, hey, listen, we have a step, in which is another benefit. As athletes, we like steps. We like to know, hey, after this, you do this. So that's our program is completely tailored like that, with 5 major steps within the program.
Yeah. I love that, man. It almost you give them the confidence, you give them the steps so that it almost becomes a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility and obligation to tell their story. I feel the passion every time I've heard you say that about we're doing the world a disservice. Let's bottle up those experiences versus discrediting them, build the confidence, understand the know-how and skill set to deliver it in a relatable manner, and then the world is better off than you found it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's so great. So I'm gonna come at a different angle real quick then. So I also have, so we got a lot of athletes watching this. That speaks directly to them. I also know, I personally, I'm sure you too, have a lot of business owners, just business owners watching this right now. Mm-hmm. So here's a question relating to that.
All right.
What adversities, obstacles have you had to overcome while building the Daley's Speaker Academy? And how did you overcome them? Maybe an example or two.
Well, I'll tell you, I think every business is going to go through this, right? Is handling objections. Because no matter what you do for a business, there's always a sales component to it. That's and if there's a sales component to it, you got to handle objections. So what I learned is I try to see where these objections are coming from and learn the objections ahead of time and bring up these objections before they do within the conversation, right? To kind of eliminate it and take it away from them. Yeah. Right. If you ever saw that movie, the 8 Mile with Eminem, battling a rapper, the way that he killed the rapper was because he started rapping on any little negative things that he could possibly rap about Eminem himself. He started saying it himself.
Exactly.
Right. So he won the battle like that because the rapper was just left like, what am I going to say now?
Yeah.
Right. So, in business and sales is something similar. Just address those objections. Let them know that, and these objections could be true concerns, right? So it's not like overlooking them. It's just giving them the answer of those objections ahead of time.
Got it.
So in the end, it's kind of like a no-brainer, and they feel kind of like there's no other reason for me to say no. Everything has been addressed already, and he brought it up himself. So it must mean that he's not afraid of whatever that objection is.
Man, there's a lot of wisdom packed in it. I hope business owners, athletes, of course, you're watching that. What you just said is absolute gold and truth, because what I basically heard you say in layman's terms is almost this out-of-body experience. You're playing ping pong. You're putting yourself in the position of the consumer or whoever the end person is that you're approaching. Mm-hmm. And saying, well, what questions would I ask? What objections would I have or concerns to your point? And then circling back, crafting that into your presentation, into your approach. So you're getting in front of it before they could even bring it up themselves.
Absolutely. So I'll give you just one example. Some of the athletes, they want to be a motivational speaker, but they had an issue with a small part of it, the public speaking piece. Right?
Isn't that the number one fear?
Right. So what we did is, as part of our program, because our program is about the entire business of motivational speaking.
Yes.
It doesn't focus only on the speaking. But what we did is we added a free bonus of a crash course on public speaking tailored to athletes, again, which is about an hour and a half. So when I'm going through the presentation, before they even bring it up, they already know that there is a course that they get as part of this program that addresses the public speaking. So that's what we do. We try to address whatever it is. And like I said, if it's legitimate, then we try to fix it or do something to fix that gap.
Very smart. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to ask you to reshare then something I heard you say last night. We were just talking about it before the show.
Sure.
Just to kind of tee this up, Kevin was talking about how to proactively go about landing some stages, landing some speaking opportunities. And I'll let you take it from here. But it was met with, well, how to go about that. What if they say yes? What if they say no? You know what I'm referencing. Would you mind reliving some of that right now?
So usually what everybody want to get to is, how do I get booked, right? But there's so many steps ahead of those things. But anyway, let's get to one strategy. And this is, please, if you got some notes, you got a piece of paper, write it down. But this is an effective strategy. You're going to go to Google. You're going to look for annual events or annual conference. You can just Google that annual conference. If you have a specific topic that you speak on, you can add that, you can see annual leadership conference or event or whatever variation of that you can find. And you're going to get a whole list of these events. And what you're going to do is you're going to find who's responsible for putting that event together. It's usually very easy to find within the website. You're going to reach out to them. You're going to ask them, very simple, no elaborate. You're not going to tell them about what you do, none of that, or send them to your website, none of that. You're just going to ask them, hey, have you already chosen the speaker for such event on this date in Dallas? That's the question. You're just going to ask that. Now, if they may say, yes, we have. And if the answer is yes, obviously that means that you're not going to be able to book it for that year. But then my follow-up question to that is, oh, great, whatever. I'm glad they'll do well. I'm happy that you got them. But by the way, when do you typically start searching for speakers for the event? Remember, this is an annual event. That's why annually they're doing this. They're going through this process. So they're going to tell you, well, we typically start in, I don't know, September, let's say, for example, right? Your follow-up response is going to be, okay, do you mind if I reach out to you then? Because I would love to be considered for next year, right? I've never heard a no. Yeah. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a reminder in my system so I can reach out to them. But I'm not going to reach out to them in September 1st. I'm going to reach out to them probably about 2 weeks before that, because I want to be the first person that they think of when they start. Right? Even if they're not starting yet, but in 2 weeks, they just talked to me 2 weeks ago. Right. So I'm going to be top of mind when they're starting. And then at that moment, the whole process starts. Now, let's rewind back. Have you chosen a speaker for this event? If the answer is no, right? That was what to do if the answer is yes. And this is some free game right here, y'all. A lot of people got to pay a lot of money for this, but this is free game only because I'm on this show with my man here. All right. So if the answer is no, we haven't. Okay, perfect. Oh, I would love to be considered. I can provide this to your audience. This is what your audience could get from me. Again, not too much details yet, but just tell them a little bit about it to intrigue them. And then you're going to have a call to action, something in the end where it's going to be, hey, can we set up a call to see if I'm truly a good fit, or if I'm not a good fit, I have plenty of colleagues that might be a good fit, and I might be able to point you in the right direction. So now you're helping them get a speaker for the event. And these event planners are overwhelmed, so they welcome some help. So why not be me, the one to help them?
I want to go back to something you just said, because last night I heard you say this. You said at the moment when they say no, we're still accepting or looking for speakers and stuff. You made a point last night of saying, do not respond with the title. Here's the title of the topic. Right. You said, no, make it about the audience. Here's what they're going to learn. Here's what they're going to take away. Is that right?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times we say, hey, I do this. I've written this book. I've done this. I've done that. But they're thinking, what's in it for me?
Right.
Like so you got to approach them immediately with what they're gonna get from me being your speaker.
Right.
Your audience is gonna walk away with some leadership strategies to manage a team of 100, whatever that is, right?
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you put that in there so they can see the value right away, and you can, and hopefully that is something that is going to intrigue them.
Yeah. Write that down, guys. I mean, if you take anything away, there's a good one right there. Yes, no, the answer doesn't matter. You've got a strategy for each one, and I love how you laid it out. It's so simple. Very applicable to anybody. It just takes a little organization, use a CRM or whatever as a reminder, and know the proper language to use. That's
absolutely
awesome. Thank you so much for being willing to share that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So a couple more questions, if that's all right. We're about 25 minutes in here. If somebody out there is out there and they want to be a better speaker, they want to land more stages, they want to tell their story, they want to build a personal brand.
Yes.
What is a step, or maybe some steps, I guess, that somebody would need to take in order to grow their own personal brand to become a speaker that has a freaking waiting list? They have so much demand. They have a waiting list. How would one even know how to get started as far as building up their personal brand?
Okay, so one thing that is important, back in the day when the event planners were booking speakers, they wanted to just book a speaker. Now, what they want to do is they want to book an expert who can speak. So knowing that is you want to align yourself as an expert in whatever the topic is that you speak on. When I wanted to go into corporate America and I said, I want to speak on leadership, I said, okay, how can I get them to see me as a leadership expert? So I wrote a book on leadership. I wrote a formula for leadership. So that's the 2 knockout punches. And then I wrote a workbook to go along with the book. I didn't care about selling a copy or whatever on Amazon. I didn't care about that. I really cared about selling them in bulk when I go speak. If it's 1,000 people, let me have them buy 1,000 copies rather than me selling 1 or 2 on Amazon. But anyway, so you align yourself. And by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, I have a hard stop in about 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, no, same. Yep.
And so you align yourself as an expert in whatever the topic is that you want. If you look at John Maxwell, he speaks on very many different topics. Well, we all know him as a leadership speaker.
Yep.
Right? If Les Brown at adversity, overcoming adversity and all that, but they can speak on whatever. So to me, that's the first step that you have to do, right? And then you start working on showing yourself as that expert, right? Via tools like this, books, guides, blogs, information that you give out on social media, whatever that is. And then you just got to make sure that your brand aligns with your target market. Now, you can have a fantastic brand, but it may not align with your target market. I'll give you an example of a great brand, Gary V. Right? He has a big following, great brand. However, he drops the F-bomb every other word. Yep. And I'm not saying that it's better. I do it myself too. So it's nothing, right? But it's a good brand over there. But now if you took that brand into another target market like ministers or something like that, it just wouldn't align. Although it's a great brand, it just doesn't align with the target market. So you just got to make sure that your brand aligns with your target market.
That's awesome. Great stuff, man. I got 2 quick ones then. We can close it out. Both of us have a hard stop coming up. By the way, I didn't prepare you for any of these. In fact, everybody, Kevin told me not to send him questions in advance. So this is just ad lib, riffing on the fly. Go figure. You're looking at a big speaker anyway. So I want to talk about speaking.
Yes.
I've got a microphone in my hand. I'm up there on that stage, man. Just give me one little glimpse behind the curtain of what you coach to when it comes to the art of speaking or the skills. Like, is there anything that you would instruct somebody to do to be a better speaker, to be a better storyteller when they got that microphone in their hand?
I mean, there's so many things, but I think one of the main things is to know your material. right? If you're very comfortable with what you are delivering and whatever it is that you are speaking on, it makes it a whole lot easier for you. First, your nerves are a little bit more calm. Your confidence shows within your presentation, and you don't have to read. I hate reading when I'm speaking. I hate reading. I use whenever available, I use a PowerPoint, but it's usually just a picture. And that's just really like a way for me to cheat, to keep me on track. I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about if this PowerPoint comes up. I don't have much words or anything on there. It's just usually a picture, but it's a way to add to my speaking and also a way to keep me on track. So know your material 100%. That's going to affect you positively in so many ways throughout. The time when I'm most nervous is when I'm not as comfortable with the material that I'm speaking on. And that's when I'm mumbling and that's when I'm looking at my notes. And that was more in the beginning when I first started speaking. Now, I usually speak on the same topic and just customize it for my audience.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so true. And I heard you get a little vulnerable last night on that live stream where you said, I still get nervous.
Yeah.
Even if I'm talking to a small group of 20 people, you're like, I get more nervous for them.
I do. So the crazy thing is I get more nervous. The smaller the crowd is, the more nervous I get when I'm speaking. But it's usually my nerves go away after a few minutes. It's just the anticipation of getting on stage that still gets me nervous to this day. And I think it's positive energy.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been wonderful, by the way. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. And you're right. People could pay big bucks for just some of the nuggets you've shared with us today, man. So let's close this whole thing out by going back to where we started. I'm going to ask you, who would you say is your ideal client that's possibly watching this right now, and why should they take action to explore working with you?
Absolutely.
How can they connect?
Absolutely. So my ideal client is any former collegiate or former professional athletes that are interested in sharing their stories, just don't know how to do it, and actually leveraging their athletic backgrounds into paid speaking engagements. The reason why somebody should choose me over others, I mean, there's some great ones out there that they can find, but what makes us a little bit different, and some of those are probably going to be very, very similar to the information. I mean, we're still teaching you the same things, right, about the same industry. But what makes us different, and I haven't been able to find any other program the same, I look because I want to be able to know when that I can still say what I'm about to say. We're the only coaching program that is tailored 100% for athletes. That makes it a big difference. So everything that we teach is with you as an athlete in mind. So all the strategies are strategies on, as a former athlete, what would I say when I'm approaching this potential client, or what would I do? How do I put my presentation together? That's what sets us apart. And this is something that I wish I had back when I was looking and searching for something similar.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. Look, everybody, if you're watching this and he's speaking to you, don't hesitate. That's one thing I know about athletes is they're willing to take action. They're willing to skin up their knees, get a bloody lip, figure out the details later, reach out to him, have a conversation. I get nothing from this. I want to help support him and other business owners and things like that. Spread the good word when people are doing amazing things. And that's what our promise is here on Proximity Live. We also have our Proximity podcast. It's our proximity promise to bring amazing people right there on your screens in those earbuds that you may have not otherwise had the opportunity to connect with and feel like they're talking to you. So we're going to continue to do that. Kevin, man, if there's anything I or the team can ever do to support you, we're here for it. I plan on having a conversation. In fact, I'm on his calendar for next week to look at his program for me. So I'm putting my actions where my mouth is. I wouldn't ask you to do something I'm not willing to do myself. So, man, any last parting words that you'd like to leave everybody with today before we wrap?
No, first I want to say that I appreciate what you're doing as well. This is helping the masses I'm all about that. You are leveraging your background into ways that you can help the masses. For those former athletes out there, we have a free Facebook group that you can join. Just send us a request to join. It is called Motivational Speaking Roadmap for former. Actually, it's for retired athletes, but we're changing the name soon to former. Retired just sounds old, right? like we're old. So it's the Motivational Speaking Roadmap for former athletes. Okay, we give out free gems left and right. Have weekly training, we have ebooks, we have free guides. There's some good, powerful conversations there. So just answer the 3 questions that we have prior to you joining, and then somebody will let you in. But thank you.
I'm in there. I'll see all of you in there as soon as you request it. We'll collaborate in there. And so join his group, join ours, mychampionsnetwork.com. Between the two,
I'm a part of that too. That's how we met.
Yep, you're going to get plenty of Jake and Kevin, probably more than you can handle, but that's all right.
I don't know if that's a benefit for them, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man. We're going to close this out for today. I hope and trust all of you got value from this. Until next time, you guys go make it a great day. Kevin, much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for having me.
You got it. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.